Hello, this is FK from the Photoshop Central, and I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool looking disco wallpaper. So let's get started. All I have is a black background and a cutout of a speaker that I got from an image online. We'll start off by making these bars that you see in the image right here. For this, I'm going to use my rectangle shape tool, set it to shape layers, and I'm going to click and drag to make thin rectangle. Now, I need a lot of these rectangles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on my Alt key for duplication, and I'm going to hold on my Shift key and drag it to the right. Control T to bring up the transform tools, and from the center I'm going to drag it down. Alt Shift, click and drag to the right, Control T, mess around with the size, hit enter to commit those changes, Alt Shift. We're going to need a lot of these, so we are not going to make all of them. What we're going to do is we're going to make some and we're going to duplicate it. Let's give them some layer styles. Give it a stroke, 1 pixel. I'm choosing a grayish color over here, C7, C7, C7 with 50% opacity. Give it a gradient overlay. I'm going to give it a green for the start, yellow in the middle, and red at the top. Green, bright yellow, and red. I don't want a lot of red over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this diamond over here and I'm going to drag it to the right and hit OK, OK, and I'm going to hold on an Alt key and drag it to the layer underneath it, Alt, layer underneath. Okay, so this looks a little bleak, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filter, Texture, Patchwork. This shape must be rasterized. Okay, I'm going to give it a square size of 4. I'll keep it to 4, relief of 8, and hit OK. So you don't actually see what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control Z this, create a new layer above this, and I'm going to merge these. I'm going to do it with all the shape layers. In this way, every shape has its effect on its own layers and they are no longer editable. Filter, Patchwork. Filter, Patchwork. I'm going to group these. I hold on my Shift key and click on layer 5, so it selects all the layers in between. Control G to group, and I'm going to name it bars 1. I'm going to hold on Alt Shift again. I'm going to repeat the process till I get a lot of these. Kind of like it fills till here. Control T. Increase the size a bit. Hold on Alt Shift, drag it to the right. Control T, increase the size. But it's slightly time taking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these so it's got this entire thing on its own layer. Alt Shift, drag it to the right. Control T, right click, flip horizontal just to make it look random. Alt Shift, drag to the right. Control T, increase the size. Enter. I'm going to merge these. Oops. I'm going to merge all of these. I'm going to position them towards the center. Control T to bring up the transform tool. Right click and click on perspective and drag it downwards like this. Okay, hit enter. I'm going to duplicate the layer, and the layer underneath it I'm going to name it as reflection. Control T to bring up the transform tool. Right click and flip vertical. You're going to bring it down like this till the endpoints match. You're going to bring this crosshair over here and drag it like this. Okay, make sure they roughly line up together. Okay, I'm going to add a layer mask. Select my gradient tool and it's set to black to transparent and linear gradient. From here I'm going to click and drag to the top. So the starting point is going to be black, the ending point is going to be transparent. I'm going to reduce the opacity a bit. It looks like a reflection. Next up, I'm gonna add some colors to it. Colors. I'll select my brush tool. I'm loading up this brush. Where is it? Yep, it is D41SC1 by Ideal Screen. Okay. I'm gonna make random strokes. It doesn't really matter because in the end we're gonna distort them. So pick anywhere. I go to filter, distort, polar coordinate, set it to rectangular to polar. Click OK, Control T, and I'm gonna position it right there. Now it's got these hard edges over here, which I don't want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask it up. I'm gonna reset my brushes. Okay. I'm gonna add a layer mask to it, increase the size, and with black as my foreground color, I'm gonna just give some strokes over it. Okay. Now let's make the waves coming out of it. Back to the rectangle shape tool, white as my foreground color, and I'm gonna click and drag this way. Make sure it's above everything else, and make it slightly off the screen. Control D to bring up the transform tool. Right click, click on warp, click and drag this way, so it kind of gets this curvy little thing in the end, and you may thinner it up in the middle of the path. Oops. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rasterize this layer. I'll add a layer mask because I don't want this to cover up my speaker. Go to select this, go to filter, distort, click on wave. It's sine 5 generators. I'll reduce the wavelength and hit OK. Zoom out. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna add a gradient overlay to it. Click it. Now gradient type, set it to noise. Click to add transparency and hit OK. Hit OK. I'm gonna reduce its opacity quite considerably and hit enter. Now let's add a light source over here. I'm selecting a bluish color and I'm just gonna click over here. I'm gonna give it a blur, filter blur, Gaussian blur, and hit OK. Well, that's basically it. I'm adding some text, so I'm gonna select my type tool, and I'm using this font name RNS Bobo Dylan with the size of 100 points. I'll increase it. Okay, place it over here. Duplicate this, and the layer underneath this I'm gonna rasterize type. Control T, right click, flip vertical, hold on shift, click and drag up here. And then I'm gonna add a layer mask, select this, and reduce the opacity. Yep, and that's all there is to this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Please like, comments,